Hey, YouTube, welcome to Development. This is my 446th weekly update. Actually, just went ahead and just bit the bullet and got a tripod stand, or I guess connector for my phone to fit on my tripod so I didn't have to sit there and hold it anymore. Um, Mostly because work has definitely picked up lately and I just have not had time to sit down and redo intros and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, this kind of system of just doing it on the phone it's really just a lot easier than going through setting up the camera, copying it over, doing any kind of editing like that. Um, so for now, this is kind of the format of the videos for the foreseeable future, just because it's so much easier, honestly. And then now, I have a nicer phone, which means nicer camera. So I'm getting arguably better quality than I was getting on my old 1080p, little handheld video recorder, which, boy, that thing is 8 years old now. I probably should just get a new one of those. I'll see what I can do about that. It's one of those things, but I have a lot of cool stuff coming up on my Instagram, which if you don't follow that, that's where I post a lot of my videos now. Obviously none of the weekly updates, but stone tips, things like that. That's all going to be fun on my Instagram at Will Development. Highly recommend you check it out if you are trying to get into stone making, or just general masonry advice. Every Wednesday I do a Q&A, which I would always love to have more traffic on, so I can answer more questions, because questions help me learn too. But yeah, training this week was pretty good. You may recall last week was I don't want to say it was a max out week, but it was a bit of a max out week, kind of a little bit of a test week, which meant going into this week it was going to be a little bit of a mild sort of deload, which it definitely has been, and poured like 1,500 pounds worth of concrete over the course of the week. Actually, it was over the course of 2 days, as well as moving some pretty heavy stones that I had come up in orders, and all that stuff is, well, it wears you down a little bit. And so with that in mind, I did take it a little bit easier this week, especially on, well, today, but we'll get to that. Monday with squats was good. The intensity was a little bit lower, and then bumped up the volume again, mostly in the total amount of reps. Reps per set weren't necessarily that high, but the total amount of sets definitely were. And then could have gone a little bit harder on the accessories, but again, mild deload week, kind of a let's relax, pull back a little bit sort of week, and then we'll get back to hitting it hard and heavy next week. That being said, Tuesday with pressing, really low reps, mildly high intensity, but overall a ton of volume, and a beltless PR for me on push press out of the rack. Have never done 185 beltless before, and when I did it, it just flew up. And I ended up just sticking with that weight, which for me, being able to consistently hit 185 for doubles, God, I think I did like 8 sets of that, supersetting it with dips. I've come a long way. I'll just put it that way. Hitting 185 for a push press used to be like a PR, and now I'm hitting it for doubles as well as doing other exhaustive work in between sets. And so that was cool. That was really good. That felt great to be able to do that. Next week, probably what I'll do is I'll drop the weight just a little bit and then just bump up that, reps per set sort of daily, and then just kind of flip-flop. That seems to be working well for me with my pressing right now in terms of progressing it and getting more comfortable in certain weight ranges, we'll say. Sort of doing 1 week where there's just a lot of volume at a pretty high intensity, and then we keep the volume relatively high, but then just drop the intensity, meaning the weight, just a little bit. The following week, that seems to be working well. So probably next week we'll do like 180 for like sets of 4, if I can do it. If I can't, might even drop to like 175, that kind of thing, and do that for sets of 5, which I should be able to do that. Because definitely with overhead, it's one of those, like, you add 5 pounds and all of a sudden I can't do it. And then you drop it back those 5 pounds and all of a sudden I can do it for 5. It's crazy. It's just, I don't know if that's normal. seems to kind of be the case a lot of times with pressing movements, but especially with me, that's what's been working really well right now. So I'm just going to keep running that game. And then Thursday, supposed to do a lot more, but I ended up just doing some. Basically, what I did was I took the weight I did on week 3, which I believe was 365 for RDLs, and I was doing those for like 4, and they were beating me up. So I said, I'm going to do that same weight, but I want to do it for like 7. And I did it for like 4 sets. And what I'll do next week is I'll probably just drop down, or I'll bump it up again, doing something like probably 385 for like triples, but a lot more sets of it. And I was supersetting that with pull-ups, actually, which I've been trying to do pull-ups at least twice a week, and low rows. We have a new cable machine at the gym that is like pretty much 1-to-1. Like when it says 200 pounds, it means 200 pounds. It's not like 200 pounds on a cable machine. It feels like you're doing 200 pounds on it. Like, I can do pull-ups pretty much all day, right? But when I put the lat pull down on like 180, which is, well, right now I'm walking around about 190, but usually I'm about 185. It's hard to do. So like, it's a really good 1-to-1, but I put it on the low, really stretch out, really pull back all the way, and I've been just sort of working my way up in weight there. Goal is to be able to do the whole stack, which I think that one goes up to like 350 now. And I think it'd be really cool to be able to do that whole stack for a few sets of like 10. I think that'd be cool. So working my way up to that right now. But I didn't do it on Thursday. It was just one of those things. I just didn't do it. Honestly, it's kind of just pure laziness. And then that's really my only excuse for today. I was supposed to go in and do some axle stuff. Long story short, I was riding in super early because I wanted to get home early because I have to ride out to Tampa tomorrow. And I didn't want to get home super late and deal with all that. Got to the gym, realized I forgot my shorts. Already had a really stressful ride because it was Friday and people were driving like maniacs. Legitimately think one dude was actually trying to run me off the road. And yeah, got to the gym, realized I didn't have my shorts, and I was like, I'm just going home. I'm just going to go home. And I just said, fuck it. And I very rarely do that, but some of my gut just said, just don't do it. Just go home. And so I did. And so that was my Friday. So with all that in mind, I should be very well rested for Monday's training. And I am looking forward to getting the train back on the tracks and really pushing harder next week. It's felt decent enough to not be pushing that hard this week, and sort of making the, just, I hate to use it, but going through the motions this week. It's been a good little reminder of why I like to not do that. And my body feels pretty good, so we're just going to push forward next week and hit it really hard with intensity, not meaning weight this time, meaning really putting my mind to the training and getting the work done next week, and then the following week, and then the week after that, and then we'll work on it. We'll get to another lazy week in the near future. So yeah, nothing wrong with just going through the motions every once in a while. I don't know if I've ever talked about that before, but at some point, yeah, there are just weeks where you're just going to be, entire weeks, where you'll just be going through the motions, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that, as long as that doesn't become the habit. So yeah, don't be afraid to just go through the motions, and if you are, then what's your excuse?